Hello students, welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, Hyderabad. I am Dr. Sonal Mobar Roy, working at the National Institute of Rural Development and Panchayati Raj, Hyderabad, and we are here to look at the course Social Issues, Policies and Development. We will today look at Block 2, Understanding Social Policy, and focus on Unit 5, National Policies for Women, Children, Aged and Differently Abled Persons. Now, we will be talking about national policies for the aged and the differently abled. This course is part of Sociology second year for semester 3. So, we have already talked about how social policies are designed for the vulnerable groups, mainly the women, the children, and now we will be talking about the other vulnerable category, that is the aged and the differently abled. Let us now turn to the elderly. With changing family structures, especially the shift from joint families to nuclear families, the traditional support system for the aged is weakening. From day to day news, you might have gathered that how the aged and the elderly are at risk of violence and danger. At the same time, life expectancy is increasing, which means the elderly population is growing. This is a matter of concern as well for the policy makers when it comes to addressing the issues related to their rights, their access to facilities, etc. This creates a situation where many elderly individuals face economic dependency, health challenges and social isolation. Policies for the aged often focus on pensions, healthcare and support services, but what is equally important is that they are often overlooked for dignity. The question is not just how to support the elderly, but how to ensure that aging does not mean loss of respect, voice or autonomy. In many ways, this is about redefining how society views aging itself. There is a big segment of the population that is made of the elderly people in the country, be it the urban class, the rural class. They are actually the vulnerable category, and the policy needs to shift its focus, ensuring that they have a dignified life in their last lap of the lifetime. So, the primary objective of the social policy designed for the elderly focuses on well-being of the elderly so that they do not become marginalized, unprotected or ignored on any account. They have their dignity in hand in a proper manner. They encourage families to take care of their older family members by adopting mechanisms for improving intergenerational ties so as to make the elderly a part and parcel of families. They should not be feeling isolated or left out from the day-to-day gatherings. The policy encourages individuals to make adequate provision for their own as well as their spouse's old age. Also, it provides for protection on various grounds like financial security, healthcare, shelter and welfare, including protection against abuse and exploitation. It is a matter of grave concern when the elderly are put to abuse or violence, and they have to actually struggle at their household level. So, the policy is actually ensuring that all this is taken care of in a development discourse, with a policy design in place and ensuring that they have good family support in picture. The policy enables support voluntary and non-government organizations to supplement the care provided by the family, and recognizing the need for expansion of social and community service with universal accessibility. The policy also provides care and protection to the vulnerable elderly people by ensuring for the equitable share in the benefits of development. The policy provides adequate healthcare facility to the elderly, promotes research and training facilities to train caregivers and organizers of services for the elderly. Also, it creates awareness among elderly persons and help them lead productive and independent life. In day-to-day affairs, we see they have to struggle because of their growing old age, their weakness, physical weakness, they are struggling. So, the policy ensures that there are caregivers, there is financial support to them to be able to have a respectful life without depending on their family members or causing trouble for their family members in any manner. So, we had the National Policy for Senior Citizens 2011. The foundation of the new policy known as the National Policy for Senior Citizens 2011 is based on several factors. These include the demographic explosion among the elderly, the changing economy and social milieu, advancement in medical research, science and technology, and high levels of destitution among the elderly rural poor. The policy talks about how a proportion of elderly women rather than men experience loneliness and are dependent on their children. The social deprivations and exclusion, the privatization of health services and changing pattern of morbidity affect the elderly. All those who are 60 years and above are treated as senior citizens in the country. This policy addresses issues concerning senior citizens living in urban and rural areas, special needs for the oldest of the old and the older women. So, in this segment we have seen how the policy talks about the rights of the elderly, that it ensures financial support to them, it ensures that they have dignity when they have when they are struggling from day to day struggles of physical movement. So, all these things are taken care of in this policy. Next, we talk about policy for the persons with disabilities. Finally, let us discuss persons with disabilities in this segment. One of the most significant shifts in policy thinking here has been the move from a charity based approach to a rights based approach. All throughout, when we are talking about policies for these vulnerable categories, we actually focus on rights based approach. We are talking about how in a very respective manner their dignity is maintained, they are having a secure lifestyle in a dignified manner, they are not depending on anyone, there is no abuse or violence against them. So, earlier disability was seen as something to be pitied, something that required care and sympathy. Now it is increasingly understood as a matter of rights, rights to access, participation and equality. At this point, it is important to understand that disability is not just about physical or mental limitations. It is about the environment. A person becomes disabled when the environment is not designed to accommodate diversity. As a student of sociology, I would recommend using the word different ability for this category of people. They are not disabled, although they are differently abled. For example, a building without ramps or lifts creates disability. Similarly, social attitudes, the stigma, the exclusion also create barriers. These policies are there to address these questions and ensuring that there is no exclusion of these vulnerable categories. The policy has been focusing on prevention of different abilities. It talks about the creation of awareness regarding measures to be taken for prevention of disabilities during the period of pregnancy. It talks about rehabilitation measures that can be classified into distinct groups such as physical rehabilitation, counseling, medical interventions, etc. Also, when we are talking about different abilities and we are talking about women who are differently abled, there is a strong stigma against them. So, women with disabilities require special protection. Policies in this perspective have a very focused intervention. The government encourages the projects where representation of women with disabilities is ensured at least to the extent of 25% of the total beneficiaries. So, the government has been making focused interventions when it comes to vulnerable categories such as women, the children, the elderly, the differently abled, and it is ensuring that they are empowered, they are given the due support, they are able to have a dignified lifestyle. Thank you so much.